Hello and a warm welcome to everyone joining us today. I hope you're having a wonderful day so far. Today, we will understand the networking and cybersecurity demands in the retail sector and how DDI solutions can optimize their network infrastructure. In this webinar, we'll explore the perspective of DDI solutions on digital transformation towards a modern dynamic environment. We'll also deep dive into how DDI solutions can benefit your organization by providing scalability, centralized and integral view, and enhanced security when implemented with policy-driven management and automation. A very quick introduction. I'm your host, Vikram Aditya, product expert from ManageEngine. I collaborate closely with the marketing teams for ManageEngine, DDI Central, and Cloud DNS. A big part of what I do is talk about the critical network services like DNS, DHCP, and IPAM. I'm here to share the insights on how DDI solutions can significantly enhance a retail network's infrastructure. As for the agenda today, firstly, we'll have an in-depth view of cyber threats and networking issues in the retail sector by looking at the stats and figures. We'll then go through the modern networking demands of the retail sector when they're looking forward to digital shopping. The major networking challenges they face when adapting to digital tools. Next up, we'll discuss how scalability and availability is achieved in your retail network with the help of DDI solution. Then, we'll see the importance of network segmentation for enhancing your retail network security and how it benefits your network service when implemented. Moving on, we'll explore how policy-driven automation and management enhances your network operations effectively across multiple retail stores. After that, we'll talk about how the real-time analytics feature of DDI solutions help in maintain the security and efficiency by ensuring optimization of records. We'll then cover the essentials of DNS security and how to implement multi-layered strategies to protect your retail network. These data represent the rise and fall of ransomware attack percentage from 2021 to 2024. In 2021, it was a starting point for the increase of ransomware attack when many retailers decided to implement digital solutions for adapting to digital shopping environment, where 44% of the attack has been succeeded. Then, the attack percentage has elevated to 77%, which risks many retailers losing their confidential data to cyber attackers. Retailers then started implementing different strategies and different solutions to mitigate the attacks occurring, and as a result, a slight decrease in the percentage was viewed in 2023 from 77% to 69%, and a gradual drop in 2024, 45% has been noticed. The number of organizations where the majority of the devices impacted by the ransomware attack reduced to 2% due to the strongly encrypted environment with the right digital solution. One of the many reasons to be considered for strong encryption is the execution of the right solution for streamlining network service. DDI solutions, the integration of the three core network services, DNS, DHCP, and IPAM, helps in securing the network infrastructure of the retail sector with integral view, security policies, custom options, network segmentation, network automation, and more. So let us now focus on the demands of the modern retail sector, which are crucial to ensure efficient, secure, and scalable operations when adapting to technology for digital shopping. There are 7 key demands that the retail sector needs to address for effective network management. A requirement for a unified system that provides administrators with a single interface to configure, monitor, and manage network devices and settings across an entire organization. A platform that could simplify troubleshooting and updates by providing a centralized point of control. Implementing robust security measures and following regulatory standards protects sensitive data and ensures legal compliance. fostering corporate trust. Strong security and compliance infrastructure build customer and partner confidence in the company's reliability and trust. Establishing reliable and secure communication channels between geographically dispersed locations ensures seamless collaboration and data sharing. This connectivity is essential for unified business operations, enabling centralized control and resource sharing. Organizing and managing IP addresses systematically ensures that devices can be easily identified and managed within the network. Complete visibility into the network allows for effective monitoring, troubleshooting, and capacity planning. Continuous observation of data flows within the network enables the identification of malicious intruders and optimization of traffic routing. It also aids in detecting security issues such as security breaches or network failures for prompt resolution. Strategies and technologies that support seamless collaboration and access to resources for employees regardless of their location. Balancing the needs of in-office and remote workers involve maintaining consistent security policies and ensuring adequate support and communication channels. Now, these challenges need to be addressed with the right IT solution, which will benefit in building a secure and effective network infrastructure and also helps in streamlining the network service for every organization in order to support their growth and development. The image you see here is a holistic representation of how multiple retail stores are being interconnected using a private WAN backbone network. This network consists of multiple VLANs, LANs, private and public cloud infrastructure, and data centers to link a private WAN. Retail sector, when adopting a digital network solution, will find it difficult to administrate an integrated network infrastructure and also to safeguard the network resources. As you can see, the network centralizes and connects several retail stores, enabling employees to connect with the store's network from their remote location. This involves a high-performance private WAN serving as the backbone. The backbone is often established using dedicated IP MPLS routes or an optical core that interconnects all parts of the network with transmission devices, while the branches connected to it are connected via SD-WAN, SDN, or IP MPLS augmented via VPN. Now, the main challenge faced by the network infrastructures is the converging of all the stores under a single common IP infrastructure. Now, how do we achieve IP convergence here? A network infrastructure like this needs a convergent solution like DDI. Let's explore what it is. DDI is a specialized network management solution that provides a centralized monitoring and administration control for the three core network services, DNS, DHCP, and IPAM. It enables you to take complete control over and gain a holistic view into the configurations and activities of those services. With a DDA solution, you can easily define and manage scopes, dynamically assign IP address to hosts, set up custom DHCP fingerprinting policies, manage DNS zones, views, and records, set up DNS security policies, analyze DNS query traffic, review audit logs, manage dual stack IP address inventories of your network, all in a single window. ManageEngine has its own DDI solution called ManageEngine DDI Central. It is a user-friendly, specialized solution that unifies DNS, DHCP, and IPAM into a single platform for improving operational efficiency and network stability. It manages your existing Linux-based IAC Bind 9 and IAC DHCP installations and can also set up new clusters. It can also manage your Microsoft Windows DNS and DHCP clusters. So throughout this webinar, you'll see its tools and features being highlighted to witness a DDA solution in action. To add it up, a DDA solution, a one-window solution, acts as a single point of administration for all the different retail stores network. With DDA, you can manage the three core network services, DNS, DHCP, and IPAM, and their configurations to the remote stores connected with the main retail network. with technologies like SD-WAN, IPMPLS core via VPN, or even dark fiber cables. As you onboard all your DNS and DHCP servers of a branch as a cluster into DDI Central, it starts discovering all the configurations in smaller divisions to firm them, facilitating a clear visibility. With all the configurations organized in its UI, you can easily control your core network services and taking necessary actions. Analyze the visual analytics that accompany each module to get quick visual snapshots to arrive at valuable and actionable insights that guide you to quick troubleshooting. This way, the main retail network administrators can holistically view and centrally manage the core network services of different remote stores associated with the main retail store, all in a single window. DDI Central's centralized platform offers an effective solution for managing networks across multiple retail stores by treating each on-premise facility as a separate cluster with its own centralized IP address management. The platform allows for seamless integration of DNS and DHCP servers for each store added individually to their respective clusters. With a unified interface, users can easily discover, configure, and manage network settings across all locations. Additionally, the platform provides robust monitoring tools to ensure the health of critical core services, offering a comprehensive and streamlined approach to network management across retail environments. Let us now focus on the crucial defensive strategy in the network management, that is, network segmentation. This adds another layer of protection, spreading the enterprise network into manageable and secure segments to reduce the attack space, limit data exfiltration, and reduce the scope of audits and compliances. Network admins can separate servers and endpoint devices based on the retail store they belong to. The implementation of operational technology network (OT) segmentation involves safeguarding the industrial control systems (ICS) from the incoming cyber attacks and meeting retail-specific regulations by separating sensitive data. So there is a robust network security during the time of convergence between IT and OT. Segmentation provides detailed visibility into each segment, its inventories, objectives, and policies in the form of DHCP options and tighter control over the configurations. This granularity is critical for identifying and responding to suspicious activities quickly. Network segmentation guides your network administrators where to look at an event of incident or capacity exhaustion. In the event of a security breach, segmentation helps contain the impact of limited area, preventing the spread of harmful effects across the entire network. Advanced scope monitoring with defined segments provide network administrators with a visual breakdown of IP addresses within the scope based on the availability status, capacity thresholds, ensuring effective capacity planning and resource optimization. Custom policies for address pools within subnets allow for specific security and access policies tailored to the needs of different host groups within the same department, which enhances both security and operational efficiency. Segmentation also offers flexible configuration options for each scope, which means networks can be tailored to meet specific functional requirements or regulatory compliance needs. By grouping different subnets into shared networks, we can club multiple non-consecutive and unrelated scopes and treat them as a single entity to apply custom policies collectively. You can reduce the scopes of compliance by reporting the audits to only those segments to the regulations instead of the whole network. Every retail store will have multiple devices and machines to be operated and moderated manually or automation. For that, IP leasing is very important. In order to prevent the network overlapping and IP conflict, multiple devices in the retail store will segment it to different individual sections, and this process is called network segmentation. The segmentation can be done with what's called DHCP Scope Manager in DDI Central, where administrators can segment, organize in hierarchy, and combined into one large network. Let's see how segmentation is done in DDI Central. Here in DDI Central, you can create subnets with a specific pool range for specific devices and machines in your retail sector like delivery robots, point of sale machines, RFID gates, and etc., which helps in segmenting different departments without overlapping. You can also create static subnets of different pool ranges to ensure leasing is done for specific defined devices and prevent DHCP from leasing for general uses. This is a way to separate from other subnets and providing a specific purpose for leasing. You can add different subnets with different pool into a single subnet for administrators to organize multiple subnets in a hierarchical method for an easy visual breakdown. Administrators can combine multiple different subnets and define configurations with DHCP options or custom options with the help of shared network. You can categorize certain subnets and to be under a virtual LAN network and describe their purpose. You can also assign fixed IPs for critical devices with the help of DHCP's host reservation. It's important to note that SuperNet and VLAN helps in organizing subnets to make administration simplified, and there won't be any configurations available for both of them. When the configured subnets are viewed under the IPAM module in DDI Central, the entire IP address inventory within the particular subnet is listed. As you delve deeper into a specific subnet in an IPAM, a donut chart plot provides a visual breakdown of the number of IP addresses in the subnet according to their availability status. These visual snapshots assist administrators with effective capacity planning and alert them at utilization thresholds. In the event of an IP address conflict within a particular subnet, the admin can click on any available or free IP and directly assign it as a fixed address to one of the conflicting hosts until subsequent remediation. This way, admins have hands-on control over the IP address inventory within a subnet. On this slide, we see a simplified example of how network segmentation is achieved using DNS domain views. We'll walk through the process step by step, highlighting the distinction between internal and external views for zones under the domain name Zilker stores. So let's see what are DNS views first. DNS views is a special feature through which you can implement network segmentation using DNS domain views. It enhances protection against potential threats by customizing DNS responses, enforcing distinct security policies, and controls access for different groups and network segments within your retail network. Say a client is sending a query for the domain name zilkerstores.com. This request is sent to the DNS server to resolve domain name into an IP address. Upon receiving the query, the DNS server first checks the client's IP against the internal view match list. The internal view match list contains only IP addresses of registered employee in the retail store. Since the client IP is not in the internal view, the DNS server then checks the external view. The external view has no such IP restrictions and resolves queries for any client IP. This view is used to provide a version of zilkerstores.com that only offers generic information to external visitors inquiring about Zilker stores. The DNS server confirms that the query for zilkerstores.com should be handled under the external view. It locates the requested zone under the domain name zilkerstores.com and directs the client to the appropriate source. The IP address written by the external view is different from the internal one, ensuring that only public and non-sensitive information is accessed. Finally, the DNS server sends the appropriate response back to the client, and the client then proceeds to access the resource. You can analyze the queries to the views configured along with the hosted and non-hosted domains. Alongside, you can have a visual breakdown over the number of queries to the views and domain for a custom time interval and number of queries received per IP with the help of domain query analytics. To evaluate a domain thoroughly or a view performance, select a specific domain or view from the list. This will display the domain-specific performance metrics, including hourly query load over the user's defined time frame. You'll also see the details for IP addresses leased under this domain, such as lease duration, MAC addresses identifying each host, and the vendors for the host machine. Additionally, the total query load across all IPs, as well as individual query loads, are visually represented in the donut chart accessible by selecting the respective IP. Furthermore, a separate donut chart provides a visual breakdown of the query volume for different types of DNS records, illustrating the distribution for each query type. Clicking on the record type, such as A or Quad A, will display a comprehensive list of all the zones queried for the specific record. This list includes the key performance indicators such as hourly query load, queries per second, and the total number of queries covering the zones associated with the selected record type. Additionally, you can select a specific zone with the record type to drill down and view a visual summary of the query analytics about the zone's records. DDI Central will continuously log all the actions and done and changes made in the DNS zones, records, and views, while also in DHCP scopes for providing insights to administrators to ensure that no external alterations made to the confidential data in compliance to PCI DSS, GDPR, and more. Let's see how DDI Central implements auto failover setups for DNS and DHCP servers. In DDI Central, for the DHCP servers, while configuring a subnet, you can add one primary and add as many secondary servers. In case the primary DHCP server fails, the secondary server comes into the fore and handles the traffic. If you want these servers to split the load, you can enter the relevant value in the split field. A value of 128 here indicates a 50-50 load balancing actively involving both primary and secondary servers to handle the DHCP traffic. For the DNS servers, while configuring a domain, you can add multiple primary DNS servers for the domain. Subsequently, DDI Central also accepts a list of multiple secondary servers to facilitate reliable access to the resources across the retail network. With the DDI solution in place, data from all the three core network services are not only collected, but also combined and analyzed in one central hub. In a DDI solution like DDI Central, IPAM serves as the centralized and contextualized network source of truth that maps upstream relationships among the core services. As you can see in the image, behind the lease history of a particular IP, you get to see how it has been captured and correlated with rich IP metadata like DNS records, DCP lease information, and IP address allocations of various hosts within the network. This unified approach allows for a holistic view of network operations, enabling retail network admins to make timely and informed decisions based on the comprehensive data analysis. This information aids in quick troubleshooting networking issues, optimizing resource allocation, and maintaining network stability. With these three core services integrated, the DDI serves as a sophisticated automation hub as it becomes easy to set up an end-to-end automation involving these services. So here are some of the key processes that can be automated using a DDI solution. Using DHCP server, you can automatically assign IP addresses to hosts on the network. This enhances the efficiency of network resource management and ensures that IP addresses are utilized appropriately, reducing outage and preventing address exhaustion. The dynamic DNS feature updates the DNS records automatically when an IP address changes, ensuring that the network resources are always accessible via their host names. Now, this is very crucial in store settings where device mobility and configuration changes are frequent, which necessitates real-time updates. DDI systems automatically detect and resolve IP conflicts and maintain an updated IP address inventory. This ensuring reliable connectivity and preventing downtime in retail operations. Schedule creations of DHCP scopes and DNS records allow network administrators to go on schedule it and forget it mode, enabling them to plan and implement network expansions or updates at a predetermined time for maintaining uninterrupted service during operational hours. Scheduled DNS or DHCP report from time to time gives admins a real-time snapshots of subnet capacities and zone query analytics for strategic resource planning of network resources. DDI Solutions offer built-in automated failover setups for DNS and DHCP servers, guaranteeing business continuity in the event of infrastructure failure in a retail network. DDI Central's DNS query resolution policies for Windows Microsoft servers help in configuring query responses and redirecting queries to specific network segments based on the criteria such as time, internet protocol, and transfer protocol. DDI Central's Windows Microsoft enables you to configure DNS response for different applications or service by defining the zone scope and also implement split brain configurations, where you can separate responses for internal and external queries. This helps administrators manage the network traffic and segment the responses for different departments of the organization. This helps in preventing DNS-based attacks. You can configure the QRP in Windows by going into the DNS firewall and selecting the DNS QRP. Here, you can create your own QRP by clicking Add QRP and providing details in the fields such as name, criteria, condition for matching and not matching. ManageEngine DDI Central benefits administrators in IoT management with policy-driven automation, where specific configurations are applied to selective devices in retail network. You can assign fixed IP addresses for mobile and remote controllable machines like delivery robots, picker robots, sorters, cleaners, and etc. for continuous leasing without interruptions. Static leaping, static IP leasing is also important for CCTV surveillance cameras, where IP addresses need to be available always for continuous monitoring. IP lease duration will vary among devices. Some would need a short duration and some would need a longer lease duration. With DDI Central, you can able to customize the IP lease duration for specific devices for both individual IPs and also subnet ranges. You can create subnets for leasing IPs to machines like point of sales terminals, credit card machines, card readers, and etc. during payments, which need to be separated from other subnets as they handle confidential data under PCI compliance. You can create a host group and add multiple CCTV surveillance into it for applying DHCP option from one point to all devices without manually applying to each one. You can create a shared network with two different host groups for applying DHCP options for different devices having the same configuration need. All these are possible with the help of policy-driven automation in DDI Central. DDI solutions like DDI Central benefits administrators in identifying the device's type and its MAC address from the DHCP request for categorizing in a client class with the help of DHCP fingerprinting. You can detect the device's type and classify it to a specific client class by creating a client class and providing the architecture or hardware details. This can be simplified with a template type where you can fill in the fields with details, but when it comes to the IAC format, you have to provide the traditional IAC code. This helps in proper IP allocation and device configuration with policies by segregated devices based on their type. Plus, implementing by toggling, you can easily import the values from the pre-boot execution environment Pixie template to a client class to quickly distribute essential and boot files based on the device OS type identification. The most common cyber attack in the retail store is the point of sale attack, where attackers breach in the retail network through insecure emails, PDFs, and steal the customer's payment information, which leads to a loss of trust among the customers. In spite of having retail store firewall, the network infrastructure is still vulnerable to the external attackers, and network administrators will find it tedious to manage and monitor firewalls in multiple retail stores. By using a DDI solution like DDI Central, you can implement a comprehensive multi-layered DNS firewall and manage all the retail network environments from a single interface. As DNS is the first point of contact across external networks, the DNS firewall constitutes the network's first line of defense. Following a layered approach, it imparts some self-defending capabilities to networks by placing strategic defenses against unwanted intrusions. It actively blocks malicious activity using domain blocking and mitigates ongoing attacks with its response rate limiting policies. So let's see how DNS firewalls work. DNS firewalls response policy zones in DDI solutions allows you to customize the responses for recognizable domain name by implementing security measures such as blocking malicious domains, redirecting users to safer page, and also applying custom policies. The query sent to the RPC domain is further analyzed by DDI Central based on the configured RPC policies. And when it matches the RPC policy, the query will be resolved to custom IP address. And if it doesn't match, it gets blocked and user gets redirected. You can able to enable RPC by selecting the domain type when a new domain is created. An RPC can be created in the DNS options section by clicking on response policy. The RPC also logs the queries to block domains, providing valuable insights into attempted access to harmful sites and helping to identify patterns of malicious activity. DDI Central enables you to apply a variety of DNS options to RPCs to have a granular control over the clients accessing it. Let us consider a scenario where a retail worker has clicked the link with a crafty phishing email and unknowingly gets his or her system infected by malware. Upon connecting to a retail's private network, the malware tries to covertly access malicious sites under your DNS resolver. DDI Central easily manages such situations with its DNS firewall. The firewall maintains a blacklist comprising a recognizable connection of undesirable domains. Before the resolver can provide the actual IP address, it checks the domain against this blacklist. If does a match, the resolver does not proceed to fetch the real IP from the external authoritative DNS server. Instead, the user will get redirected to the safety page. By clicking on the DNS firewall in config section, you can provide the domain name to be blocked, category for blocking, and also the redirection IP to redirect clients to safer page. You can also view the domains blocked and domains blocked among the subdomains here. You can also view the blacklist of malicious domains here with their categories in the view list section. And this data can be imported as a CSV format. DDI Central displays the information on who's trying to access the blocked IP address in the network environment. That includes host name, MAC address, data, and time, which helps in the network administrators to identify and troubleshoot issues. You can also view the total number of queries received for an IP address. This visual representation helps identifying and blocking malicious site requests in the network environment. Let's dissect a common cyber threat scenario involving a botnet and discuss the defensive strategies that can be employed as a DDI solution. At the core, we have the botnet command center targeting a particular victim network in your retail store's network. It keeps sending instructions to compromised endpoints called botnets. These botnets then execute the attack by sending malicious queries to the DNS servers using the IP address of the victim. This is known as IP spoofing. The DNS server in your retail network, unaware of the deception, respond to these queries. However, due to the nature of the attack, these responses are not just simple replies. They are massively amplified, meaning a small query triggers a larger response. The final target of this onslaught is the victim network in your retail store. The amplified responses flood the victim's network, potentially overwhelming it with data and causing significant disruption. This type of attack is known as the distributed denial of service, or commonly known as DDoS attack. These threats can be instantly identified using DDI Central's query analytics tool that visually charts unusual spikes in Harley traffic, indicating a DDoS attack in progress. To mitigate the DDoS attacks, DNS servers can be configured to limit the response rate to any individual IP address. This way, it prevents the DNS servers from being used as amplifiers in DDoS attacks and further prevent the movement of malware using from compromised end-user system to more sensitive systems and data center resources. The response rate limiting is a DNS security feature that intelligently regulates response throttling to mitigate the impact of DNS amplification attacks, ensuring uninterrupted service for legitimate clients and upholding a well-balanced approach to security. It facilitates a selective response mechanism that ensures your network is not only resilient against attacks, but also remains efficient and reliable for only legitimate users. Now let's see how response rate limiting RRL, which is crucial for controlling DNS responses, especially during amplification attacks, is implemented in DDI Central. This feature allows administrators to set various parameters that control different aspects of DNS response behavior. The RLL form that you see on screen does not just limit the number of identifiable responses per second from a single IP address or subnet, but also limits the number of all kinds of responses, such as error response, DNS referral response, specific types of DNS responses per second. You can also define how broadly rate limiting is applied across IP address ranges. It is also enable you to specify the trusted clients that are exempt from the rate limiting. By configuring these options, administrators can significantly reduce the impact of DNS-based amplification attacks, ensuring more secure and reliable network. Response rate limiting can be accessed in ISC bind by selecting rate limit in the DNS option, which provides several fields to fill in data, like all per second, error per second, prefix length for IP address, IPv4 and IPv6, and more. By selecting DNS RRL in configuration section, you can able to modify the DNS RRL settings by editing the values for your needs. You can also provide the IP of your clients you want to exit from the list in the exempt clients list section. Cyber attackers need to move freely through a network to identify items of value. Network segmentation is a critical element of an overall cybersecurity strategy that reduces the risks and impact of attacks during the occurrence of a breach. By segmenting a network into subnets and scopes, you isolate each segment from the rest of the network. Each segment establishes you an isolated broadcast domain with a DHCP server. By taking this pragmatic approach, retail stores can minimize business disruption and reap benefits, such as limited exposure after an intrusion and reductions in lost productivity, remediation costs, and reputational damage from the actual loss of confidential data. Network segmentation is only a part of DDI Solution's layered security philosophy, enabling retail stores to survive intrusions and minimize or even prevent successful data breaches. In the end, this allows for a speedy return to business as usual. Segmenting the scopes into subnets and VLANs help contain the damage by isolating the affected segment, allowing administrators to more effectively control this and the spread and mitigate risks. Subnetting also reduces network-wide threats by quarantining compromised areas and hindering unauthorized lateral movement within the network. Some retail businesses in this sector would go through the mergers and acquisition phase, where an organization larger than them will make a deal to acquire the business, customers, products, employees, databases, and etc., and merge them with theirs. During this phase, the merged retail business clusters, zones, records, policies, and other network resources need to be managed by the administrators of the bigger organization. It is important to note that there won't be any rip and replace method, which means the clusters, zones, and records of the acquired organization can't be replaced with what the organization has. Managing the clusters of two different organizations will be difficult for administration team to manually monitor this separately with different tools. DDI solution like DDI Central can help organizations by providing discovering and managing clusters feature. The DNS and DHCP clusters of the acquired retail business can be discovered and monitored separately in DDI Central without mixing the pre-existing data of the organization. You can also apply custom policies, configurations, monitor the cluster's health and performance, identify threats and issues, and troubleshoot them all from a centralized management solution. You can manage the clusters of both Linux and Windows or for the same OS in the same platform, which helps administrators have a clear visibility and control over the clusters of the main organization and also the acquired one. Retail stores, both offline and online, will face large number of customers visiting and purchasing during weekends, flash sales, discount hours, Black Friday, etc. In those times, the volume of IoT devices should be increased for complete monitoring, surveillance, transactions, Wi-Fi availability for employees, and network load management. But there won't be enough network resources available for expanding the number of devices and continue the retail service consistently. DDI solution like DDI Central will resolve this issue by scheduling the DNS and DHCP subnets for increasing the availability of IP address to additional devices in demand hours. Alongside, you can also schedule to create additional subnets, shared network, zone records, or schedule the creation of shared networks that house various subnets, each housing specific devices or services like printers, sensors, point of sale devices, POS, which need to be grouped together and applied collective policies. Some critical devices like DNS and DHCP servers, routers, cameras need to consistent IP address leasing without disruptions. So they can be added in host groups and apply DHCP reservation policies for allocating specific IP address only for them. You can update the scheduling of pre-existing subnets, or you can also create new subnets for additional IoT devices and schedule them. A clock symbol will appear near the scheduled pre-existing or new subnets. To add it up, DDI Central automates the scheduling DNS and DHCP objects and reports, which lets the network administrators to go on the schedule it and forget it mode. As we conclude today's webinar, let us now focus on the key insights. DNS, DHCP, and IPAM are the cornerstones of network connectivity and operations. Integrating these into a full-stack DDI management solution not only addresses critical network challenges, but also future-proofs your retail network. A full-stack DDI solution consolidates all the essential tools into a single interface, streamlining network administration and enhancing efficiency. While some retailers still use freeware or open source DNS and DHCP server software or manage networks with spreadsheets, these approaches often lack the robustness need for complex configurations. In an era of rapid digital transformation in retail sector, embracing DDI solution is more than a technological investment. It marks a retail store's commitment towards delivering high quality, flexible, and reliable network services that the internal employees expect. Thank you everyone for joining us in this insightful webinar on how DDI solutions can help in optimizing retail network infrastructure.